With the normal distribution, we can describe the curve of a normal distribution with this PDF given here. Now, this is not something that we really need to worry about for this course, but what we can say is that the equation that we have here has this particular shape to it. It is a bell-shaped curve, okay, and we can rely mostly on our calculator to help us calculate the values of this particular function. So we never have to worry about entering this function ourselves, since our calculator will have this formula stored inside of it, and we never have to evaluate it ourselves. But with that in mind, we can imagine if we're looking at a particular normally distributed random variable, we can try and find the areas associated with it under the normal distribution curve to help us solve probability problems. So suppose that the weight of all firefighters are normally distributed with a mean of 200 pounds and a standard deviation of 7 pounds. What's the probability that a randomly chosen firefighter weighs between 185 and 195 pounds? Since we know that the mean is 200 pounds, we know that the middle value of our normal distribution is exactly 200. So that's where the mean goes, there right in the middle. And a standard deviation of 7 pounds means that the width of our normal curve here will be 7 pounds for one standard deviation above the mean. So we'll do 207 would be one standard deviation above the mean. 2 standard deviations above the mean would be 214. Now if we're going the other direction, 7 pounds below the mean, if I do 200 minus 7, would give me 193, and then 7 below that would have 186. So now we can see that if we're 2 standard deviations out from the mean here, in this case that's going to be the bulk of our data, would be between 186 pounds and 214 pounds. And we go one more standard deviation below there, so that would be, in this case, 179. And then one more standard deviation above here would be 221. We have the vast majority of all the data will be somewhere in that range. And in this case, suppose we want to find what's the probability that a randomly chosen firefighter weighs between 185 and 195 pounds. Well, what this is going to amount to is finding the area under our PDF between 185 and 195. So we imagine 185 might be something around here, and then 195 might be something maybe over here. So the area between those two values here represents the probability that we're going to try and be looking for. And because our calculator has the normal curve formula stored inside of it, okay, we'll need to know two things. In particular, we'll need to know mu, the standard deviation, or sorry, mu, which is the mean. And we'll also need to know sigma, which is the standard deviation. Once we know those two values, they can be input into our calculator, and then the calculator will give us the associated area that we're looking for to calculate the probability. And so on our calculator, then we can rely on we can rely on our calculator to help us solve this area problem. Okay.